try and hurry. Where's the clicker?
Maybe it's over here by you.
Hey, Chuck. Let's see, Chuck, we need to be able to show the PowerPoint. Yeah, perfect. And I think you can, I think we're all ready, right? Everybody ready? Okay, so you can start recording whenever you want to.
Okay, welcome everyone. We have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. We have several votes in front of the commission today, and for each item, I'll ask staff to provide details on the case, and then if the applicant would like to provide additional detail or ask questions, we can do that. And also, after that, the public may wish to speak, and we'll ask you to come up to the center podium to use the microphone and state your name and address before you make your comments for the record. Our next item for the commissioners is to receive the meeting minutes from December. And since we're receiving, not approving, anybody can make a motion or vote. So I would ask for a motion to receive the minutes. And a second. Okay, all in favor? Once the waiting is over, there we go. I'm pretty sure that passed, even though it's not telling me it has yet, so. Okay, the next item, Randy is going to introduce for us.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending the special meeting. We have a few projects that need to advance to City Council as quickly as possible. And for that reason, we did a special meeting instead of waiting till February to hear some of these projects. So first up, we're going to have a delayed presentation from a really special project that was several years in the making. Started actually planning for this several years ago, and that was the mural honoring Captain Riley Leroy Pitts at the Pitts Park Recreation Center. And Jesse Warren of the Oklahoma Mural Syndicate is going to come and present the presentation about that today. So this was installed back in November. Jesse will come up and he'll tell you all about it. Should be able to just advance here. Let's go ahead and get past this. There you go. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you all. So just wanted to come and talk to you about the completion of this project. As Randy mentioned, it was several months or several years in the making. Several months worth of work went into it this fall to get it completed and get it wrapped up. And we had the celebration and the unveiling back in November on Veterans Day, and it was just a really great project, and I'm really honored to be a part of it. So the project goal was to, get this mural painted up on the exterior of the Pitts Recreation Center at Pitts Park, it was a long time leading up to this until we finally got the go-ahead, the funding approved, and got a team together, culminating with that mural unveiling back, like I said, on November 11th. Captain Pitts is really just a legendary figure, and his story is truly amazing. And although the park is there to honor him and has been there and an integral part of that community for a long time, not enough people, I don't think, knew really Captain Pitts' legacy and the story of his bravery and heroics. And so to be able to honor that and expand that story out to the community, I think was a really great thing for our city. We assembled a really good team. This was a collaboration between the Oklahoma Mural Syndicate and With Love, the With Love project. We were able to meet with Captain Pitts' wife and some of his family members to sort of make sure we were telling the story accurately and honoring his legacy in a respectful manner. And it was really nice just to be able to have them be a part of it. Mrs. Pitts still volunteers at the park regularly, so still tied into that community and just a part of that ongoing commitment to that area and to the park. So it's a really great honor for us. We brought in Jeremy Biggers, who is a nationally renowned artist from Dallas, Texas, who has a sort of a contemporary portrait style that we thought was really fitting to execute this, to really take that vision to the level that it needed to be for this artwork to really pay tribute to Captain Pitts. It's a very large mural, as you see. It goes top to bottom, the exterior of this building on the west-facing wall there. And because it was an older building that the city wants to, preserve the exterior of it for historical purposes, it required us to attach a paneling system, so we weren't painting directly on the brick. It was a pretty big endeavor, and we actually had to become licensed sign installers in order to install this paneling system. But we, together with the team, came up with a really effective system that's going to last decades and protect the facade of the building, and just really provided a really smooth, immaculate surface for the artist to work on. Jeremy Biggers really created a very dynamic mural that really tells a story in a really dramatic way. And we wanted to honor that by bringing out members of the community and getting them involved with the unveiling. So to make aware of it that was happening and offer an opportunity for the community to meet Jeremy and hear some words about him, about the project, and kind of know all that went into it. So we had an event, invited lots of people out. We had a veterans group and members of the Pitts family came from all over the country. It was really great. The event at the park did cost us quite a bit more money than we had imagined. It ended up costing about $450 just to gather some people there at the park. But as you can see, it was the mural turned out really great. It's a really amazing story. If you don't know much about Captain Pitts, there's some information there at the community center, but he's the first African American to win the Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, and Bronze Star as well, and sacrificed his life for this nation, and just has a really heroic story that I think Jeremy captured in really powerful imagery that still kind of is respectful to him and his family. Like I said, we had that event. It was really well attended. Lots of great energy. People were really happy. There were 4 generations of the Pitts family there. They traveled in from all over the nation, and it was just from kids to grandparents. Out there, and lots of local veterans came out too to show their support. So really great community event. JB said some really powerful words, and Jeremy spoke a little bit about his inspiration as well. And this is Mrs. Pitts along with Captain Pitts' son there, and they were both just thrilled to the gills with the project, and that his legacy will be shared in that way. So it was really great to see. There you can see the whole Pitts crew there with Jeremy. And Jeremy brought his kids up from Dallas, so they got to see their pops being a part of some project on a really big scale. And our crew there. The funding for this project, the majority of it came from the city, as you guys probably all know, but due to the extreme cost of building such a big paneling system to install onto the side of the building, we needed to bring in some additional sponsorship money to cover the cost of all that and still be able to pay the artist a respectable wage. Tinker Federal Credit Union sponsored an additional $5,000, which was a real big help and got us across the finish line. You can kind of see there in some budget numbers kind of how it broke down. That initial $14,500 went a long way, but it didn't quite cover all of the costs. So that sponsorship from TFCU was really crucial. There was a lot of labor that went into this, as well as a lot of volunteer work. This doesn't really reflect the total amount of work that went into this project, but this is what we were able to compensate for and pay for, plus materials, et cetera. Really huge project, and really thankful to be a part of it. So just wanted to thank you all and kind of give you guys a wrap up in case you hadn't been over there to check it out, kind of let you know what all went into the project. So thank you.
And thank you. We will.
Can I say something about it real quick?
I'm sorry?
Can I say something about it real?
Sure.
Sorry. One of the best parts of the mural was just that the history of that park. Growing up over there, you know, it was a heavily well-known like gang park, and growing up, that park was, for me, I knew it was called Pitts, but I identified it with that gang, you know. And so whenever I learned about Captain Pitts, and myself and Jesse and Chris started the With Love project, like this was one of the first things that we wanted to do, was really like reclaim that park for the community and for the people around it and for Captain Pitts and his family. And you know, it took several years, and even, you know, it was really important for Robbie Kenzel as well for us to do it. And Captain Pitt's wife and his son, you know, they've been all over the country, all over the world, Germany, you know, for different things that he was honored for. And they said, by far, this was the biggest and the best event, the biggest honor that they have been able to be a part of and experience. And so it was just a blessing just to be able to do that for the community and their family. And it's crazy how many roadblocks we felt like we had to get it done, but the team was very persistent, and you know, it's still, you know, just a beacon of light for the East Side. So it's amazing. So that's all.
Are there any other comments? Okay. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to receive the report, please. And a vote. Which passed. Okay, the next item is The Dancers by Denise Duong and Gabriel Friedman. Randy, would you like to come up to the podium again?
Thank you. I realized that I forgot to formally introduce myself. So I'm Randy Marks, the Program Planner for Arts and Cultural Affairs, and it's good to be here today. And before we go on, I want to thank JB and With Love for the fabulous work that you did in helping to make that mural happen. Also, thanks to Jesse, who you just met, Chris Canale, and Dylan Bradway, all of Oklahoma Mural Syndicate. So these two organizations were really very, very fortunate as a city to have these organizations that are working for the artist and working for the betterment of the community. So the next item, item 3B, is The Dancers by Denise Duong and Gabriel Friedman. Denise, do you want to recuse yourself? And if you want to, this is a personal choice. I'm not saying you should, but if you want to recuse yourself, you actually can come down here and you can be available. I think is you might want to answer. You'd be able to, as the artist, you'd be able to answer questions about it if you came down here. So yeah, just come and sit down anywhere. The Dancers by Denise Duong and Gabriel Friedman is a Strong Neighborhoods Initiative community project, and the location is on Linwood Boulevard, where there are a number of works that are being installed on the median of Linwood Boulevard that is turning that into an art corridor. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that part of Oklahoma City, Linwood is essentially the continuation of Northwest 6th from Western and extends over to Virginia Avenue. This was an old streetcar line, And so the median is where the streetcars used to run, and on that median is where the neighborhood association, the Metro Park Neighborhood Association, working in conjunction with the Strong Neighborhoods Initiative in the Planning Department, is creating this art corridor. So,
I think our slide is not matching this project, or maybe
I'm sorry, what was that?
this slide doesn't seem to be matching this project.
Oh, I got ahead of myself. I'm describing the next, I'm describing the next project.
Okay.
This one is, I'm sorry, totally my mistake. This is the, okay, I need to back up. So I'm on the wrong one. So if you, this is actually Oliver Park. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, okay. Excuse me. I got my Strong Neighborhood Initiative projects mixed up. So this is not Metro Park. This is Oliver Park neighborhood in Capitol Hill. So now I think I'm back on script. So yes, I am. I jumped ahead on my script. So sorry about that. So the locations of the works will be in the Oliver Park neighborhood of Capitol Hill, including one location in Oliver Park itself. And you can read here, the artist's goal in translating dance to a three-dimensional public artwork is tied to the idea of staying true to the playful and expressive nature of dance. In referencing the imagery of folkloric dancers, Denise created a series of quick, expressive, figurative dancer sketches. They are meant to mirror the movement, the dresses, the passion of folklorico in a simplistic form. And you can see the sketches that Denise created there. The artist's method includes community involvement and collaboration in choosing the most appropriate models for the community. Denise will create the sketches and Gabe will translate the sketches into sculptures that are formed out of steel. And here we see an example in 3 different locations. So the finished works will look much like that. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Do you have any questions for Randy? Denise, would you like to make any comments? Okay. I'd ask then for a motion and a second to recommend this project to City Council. And now, if you could vote. Oh, yeah, they're great. Okay. Still says waiting, but there we go. The vote passed. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that I think that these pieces are wonderfully playful and expressive, and they make me smile.
And Denise, we can welcome you back to the front table now.
She actually is
she's,
involved with the next
okay,
one.
I'm
too.
sorry. Gotcha. Okay, the next item is the biggest pink skateboard by Gabriel Friedman. And Randy again will present the item to us.
Thank you. The biggest pink skateboard is a sculpture by Gabriel Friedman, a name we just heard recently, also Strong Neighborhoods Initiative, whereas the previous one was the Oliver Park neighborhood on the south side. This one is in fact on Linwood Boulevard and is the Metro Park neighborhood. And the sculptures are being installed along Linwood Boulevard, and you can see the works that have already been installed that have come before you up to this time. Works by the Bewleys, by Paul Bagley, Clint Shore, and then this one and the next one that you'll see after this to continue this project on between Western and Virginia. The Biggest Pink Skateboard is about the idea of unexpected success in the face of cultural adversity. The skateboard deck sculpture is based on the first skateboard of Gabe's friend and most famous skateboarder ever to come out of Oklahoma City, Don Nguyen, the son of a Vietnamese refugee family. The sculpture is meant to reflect the uniqueness of Metro Park neighborhood while referencing its little-known historical importance in the Oklahoma City skateboard scene. Gabe maintains that this skateboarder that you see just serendipitously showed up when he was shooting the site out there. So we're going to take him at his word. There you see a rendering of the sculpture, and the sculpture will be made out of metal with paint directly applied to it, a long-lasting paint that will stand up to the weather and to the sun. I believe that is the last slide I have. I'm going to come back to this, and I want to pass on something that happened during the selection process. When Gabe gave his presentation, he said something really, really profound, and it was all the more profound for the fact that when I asked him about it later on, he didn't even remember having said it. But he was talking about his inspiration for this work and some other works in which he was inspired to learn how to make jewelry so that he could do, and he's done jewelry out at little skateboards for friends of his. Anyway, he was drawing a connection between jewelry and public art, and what he said was that jewelry is something small about something much larger. And he said, in a similar fashion, public art is something bigger that is about something bigger still. And he encapsulated in that something that I've been trying to articulate, and that is just to go through the interpretation. You adorn something, you give jewelry to a person that you love, and so the jewelry is almost always about beauty and love. And public art, in a similar fashion, is about the same thing. It's about creating beauty for the community, and it's about our love for the community. And I was so happy that I happened to be there because I don't normally go to the selection committee meetings for Fourth Strong Neighborhood Association, but I was really happy that I heard Gabe say that, and I wanted to pass that on to you. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Go ahead.
Is this a concrete base underneath that metal platform? Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So this
I just
is,
can't tell the material from here. It probably mentions it somewhere, but.
so the model is made out of wood, and so
Oh,
that's
okay.
what you are seeing
Okay,
with
okay,
texture there.
okay.
But it will be a concrete base.
Are there any other comments or questions?
And I'll make a comment about this and the previous things we've talked about. We have Vera waivers on all of the projects today too. I may not call that out, but we do have Vera waivers. So just to let you know about that.
I had one comment. I don't know. I'm just excited, and I think it's dope, like, to see somebody finally, honor Don, and then it be Gabe is huge. Just as a kid, I remember their crew being like huge, like a big deal. I remember going to the movie premieres they would have. I remember when the movie that Don was in came out. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a big deal, and just I remember trying to, skate on the east side because of them, you know what I mean? And so, and Don is a really, really nice dude, and just to, have something that honors like him here is dope. So he deserves it. So
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the project to recommend it to City Council, and it has already passed. The next item is Crossroads sculpture, and again, Randy will present this as well.
The Crossroads sculpture by Morgan Robinson is again on Linwood Boulevard for the Metro Park SNI. So Here you see the location. This is going to be just immediately east of the location for the skateboard, and again, is filling out that, helping to fill out that entire median as an art corridor. Crossroads alludes to the freedom of free-flowing, seemingly weightless forms while also incorporating the strength and longevity of stainless steel and a powder-coated finish. The sculptural form intertwines and grounds itself with two separate connecting pieces meant to represent the unity of family and extended community, and the artist brought these ideas into a sculpture that turns and embraces itself. So here you see another view of the sculpture by Morgan. And another one. And just a comment, this is the first sculpture by Morgan Robinson that the city itself has purchased. You've seen some of his work before. The Mesta Park Neighborhood commissioned Morgan to do a really fantastic piece for the southeast corner of the park on the stage that they have there. So Morgan is represented in the city collection, but this is the first time that his work has been selected for a piece in the city collection by the city itself. So with that comment, I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions for Randy or comments? Okay, I'd ask for a motion and a second to recommend this project to the City Council. And a vote. Which passed. The next item on our agenda is Cut Line by Anton Morton and James Tapscott. And Randy will present that as well.
Cut Line is land art by Anton Morton and James Tapscott for the new Hefner Golf Clubhouse, which is located at 4491 South Lake Hefner Drive. And there's a map, and you see on the peninsula in the upper right-hand corner, you see a little golf icon, and it's right in that area. Nice view of the lake and where the new clubhouse is going to go. The clubhouse, I believe, the final design goes to council in about just a little bit over a month, and that's important because for a reason I'll explain in just a moment. So there is the artist rendition of the architectural rendering of the back of the clubhouse, and over to the right-hand side you can see a red line that is a cut line in the ground. So this is a work of land art where the earth itself is sculpted to help create the work of art. This is the first work of this type that we have in the city art collection. And Anton, formerly known as Tony Morton, and James Tapscott, who is an Australian artist, land artist, teamed up on this particular concept. Here is another view, and you can see the stainless steel sides of the cut that is made into the earth. The red is a red recycled glass aggregate that will be, and all of this will be installed on a concrete base and form with the earth coming up and creating this form. This project had kind of an interesting, for us, for Arts and Cultural Affairs, had an interesting wrinkle, and that was we needed to start this as quickly as possible because we meaning the architects and the Golf Commission, wanted to be able to get the design of the artwork incorporated into the overall site design of the project because it's a work of land art. And so when the groundwork is being done, some of the work can be done to actually the forming of the earth for the piece of art that is going to be created. So we were on a very fast timeline, but we ran, first of all, but then we ran into this. We didn't have any money to pay anybody anything yet. This is a bond project, and the bonds won't be sold until May of this year. So we literally had no money. But the city has a method for dealing with situations like this, and it's exactly the situation in which they work with the architects. The architects on this project, AHMM Architects, are contracted through the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority. And if you've ever sat in on a council meeting, there's a point before the main part of the agenda happens where the council, they stop the meeting as a council, and then they immediately start a meeting as the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority. So the council members and the mayor are the OCMFA. But it's a different body, and the OCMFA has money that they can loan us to start a project, just like they loaned, or they actually contracted with the architects so that the architects could start work on this project that they had no money for yet. Then when the bonds are sold and there's money available, then that money gets put back into the OCMFA fund, and a new contract is written, and we all go down the road just as we normally would. That may be some arcana that you didn't need to know, but I thought it was at least somewhat interesting. Now that we have learned how to do this particular method, we'll use it again in the future whenever we are confronted with this. So we were glad to learn something new from this process. And you can see Tony Anton's statement here: a subtle yet powerful transformation of the site's topography connects the building to the landscape while paying homage to the shared philosophies of the clubhouse and the course's design. The clubhouse itself, I don't have the architectural rendering in the PowerPoint, but it is an outstanding work of architecture. The base it appears to be stone. It is in fact stone, but it's not mortared stone. It is stone in gabion cages. Gabion is typically used, or traditionally has been used, in the landscape to hold soil back, like on stream embankments and situations like that. Maybe a lot longer ago than this, but around 10 to 15 years ago was the first time that I saw it used architecturally very effectively in the rail yard in Santa Fe. So it has a very distinctive look. The top part of the building is Corten steel, and the building itself just looks like it's organically just forming right out of the earth. And that's why it was thought that a work of land art would be most appropriate. Commissioner Cooper was on this selection committee, so Commissioner Cooper may have some other comments to make about it. We'll look at some other illustrations here. And there we are. I'll be happy to take any questions.
I have several questions. So how does the artist picture the public interacting with the piece, or is that maybe not how they're hoping the piece is appreciated?
They want it to be hopefully appreciated from all angles. A really good view of it is if you're on the second floor of the new clubhouse, which is going to be a club entertainment area. You can go out on, you can actually see it while you're in the building, but you can go out on a patio deck and look right down into it. And that is a pretty dramatic view, looking at it directly from the top. There's a walkway that goes close to this. You'll be able to step off the walkway into the landscape and actually walk up in there. The material that is being used stands up to road traffic. So whatever foot traffic it gets, it'll be able to stand up to that. And so some people are going to find it just, unbearably attractive and will want to walk up through the grass a little ways just to see what is going on up in there.
Okay. Sorry.
Allison, in further explanation of that, the artist anticipated, and it was designed so that people can and will walk up through it. But in order to maybe entice them up there, there was some discussion of putting the, the art marker up next to the building so that there'd be a reason to come up the walkway to see the art marker, which would give more of an explanation of what it was.
Okay, I like that. So It's fun that we're doing some new and interesting things. You know, I love like seeing the variety of pieces that get proposed now. Since this has been kind of integrated into the site design of the project, how does the landscape work and the landscape contractor work with the artist to make sure that kind of how the hill and all of the, you know, green space around it have the right texture for this piece? Because all of these images have a, you know, especially like 2 images ago where you're like seeing like natural prairie elements mixed in, and then it's just like this cuts in. That obviously we want to make sure that that is maintained long term and not just mowed right up next to it, you know?
We had actually had pretty extensive discussions of that leading up to the selection, and then also during the selection as well. So the design is actually a work in progress at this point. And starting the artist early enough so that the work could be integrated into the overall design means that it's going to be more of a work in progress than maybe a lot of works will be. It's not going to be something that's just going to be placed, you know, after the fact. And so the design being able to be incorporated into the landscape design will allow whoever the landscape contractor is to help build accordingly to the shape that is proposed by the artist. The location may change somewhat. We don't anticipate it changing dramatically. It's going to be well within the confines of the site, but it may move a little bit one way or the other. Various aspects of it may change a little bit, but the final result is going to be essentially what you're seeing in the artist illustration. So the artist, at the time of the presentation, was requesting that there be mown grass right up next to the level. And this is embedded into an area where the overall landscape is primarily or almost exclusively native grasses and other plants. But in the discussion, a couple of people on the committee suggested that it's going to work just as well if it's not mowed up there or not. Maybe it's a slightly different material. It might be buffalo grass instead of switchgrass or something. So the point of that was that maintenance around this is anticipated to be very, very low. There will be an occasional need to just use a weed eater to trim off some grasses that may bend out over it. Those can be easily blown out and raked away. So we don't, based upon what it was presented, we don't anticipate any problems with that at all, with the long-term maintenance of the work. Did that answer your question sufficiently?
I also,
Yeah. It's something that's a little bit different than, you know, it's more of a team effort to make sure that this piece kind of finds the right spot on the side and long-term. And
I'd also like to supplement Randy's remarks with a commentary. The people on the jury who were representatives from the golf course and the golf commission really liked the design, and they really seemed to be committed to doing whatever extra work might be required in order to maintain this as a separate, defined piece of art. They liked the idea of it, and that they were willing to put in the extra work it might take in order to make sure it's well maintained.
If they're maintaining greens. Okay. If they're maintaining greens at the golf course, they're probably very skilled to be able to handle this. So that's my thought.
Yes, so we have very talented landscape crews employed by the city, or actually by the Golf Trust, that maintain these. We did not want to add any extra burden to them, especially in a situation where the landscape is meant to be low maintenance. But what we found was that the artist was really willing to consider moving away from some of their recommendations and seeing that In fact, they could deal with a less manicured edge along the work of art itself.
Are there any more comments or, yeah?
There are so many exciting elements to this project. The process alone of using the facility authority, so often art has been an afterthought. I mean, in this case, it's integrated into the whole project. When the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs started, the people on this horseshoe, or rather the Arts Commission, didn't even, and the city as a whole, had no idea what art we had. And even so, back then, the majority of the city's collection were cast bronzes. This is a telling project in the matriculation of our city in embracing public art and what it means to our community. Land art is not new. It's new for our city, and I think this is telling of how we as a city are embracing the spectrum of what's possible in public art. Congratulations to all involved. And Randy, I can't help but think that your background and experience prepared all of us for this happening today. So I think it's telling in so many ways. Thank you.
Well, it didn't hurt, Commissioner, and this gives me an opportunity of saying something about AHMM and Eric Schmidt in particular. AHMM, we're working with them also on the Family Justice Center, and we'll be working with them on other projects in the future. But in both the cases that we're working with architects from this firm, and I just got to say that they really stand out in their integration into the process. They really go above and beyond all the architects that we've worked with from AHMM. So Eric in particular Anton made the comment that it was the best presentation that he had ever seen about a site given to the artist. So that is an example of the kind of thing that Eric has done, really engaged beyond what is necessary. So we appreciate that. Eric in particular on this project, and Dan and Jessica on the Family Justice. They've gone above and beyond as well on that project. So we're glad to see this, reflecting some of what the Commissioner just said. Sometimes in the past, the architects weren't maybe quite so willing to engage fully in art. And that was true when I first came here, and Robbie warned me about it. We've seen a complete change from that, and this is the result of that kind of thing happening. So that's the end of my editorial comment. Thank you.
Any other comments? Then we'll be voting on a motion to recommend to the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority. And that passed. The next item is a sculpture called Halfway Home by Graham Caraway. And Leandre is going to present for us today. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Leandre Lattimore. I'm a project manager for the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs. And what we have today, as you mentioned, is a sculpture entitled Halfway Home by artist Graham Caraway, also known as Jay Graham. This sculpture will be located at the Woodson Park Sports Complex that's on the south side of Oklahoma City. The exact address is 3403 South May Avenue, and it also sits at the intersection of May Avenue and Southwest 29th Street. And as you see, there is a map for just visual reference. And it will actually be on the east side of I-44, just for clarification. So, this artwork is entitled Halfway Home, and I think the reason the artist entitled it this is because he mentioned during his proposal that when he does his travels, he's from Jackson, Mississippi, and when he does his travels from the West Coast or up north, Oklahoma City often serves as a halfway point for him to make his pit stop on the way back to Jackson, Mississippi. So he's actually quite familiar with Oklahoma City, and he mentioned that he spends a lot of time here. I also think it's a pretty unique reference, halfway home, that could tie in with baseball and softball as well, which is one of the uses of this sports complex once it's completed. So this sculpture is pretty unique. And when he designed this, he mentioned that he thought of things such as connectivity, interaction, and enhancement. One of the things he envisioned with this sculpture was something that would enhance the space and allow those to see it and interact, but not in a way that was too distracting from the initial purpose of the sports complex. But with that in mind, he also wanted it to be something that people would be able to interact with in addition to just stopping and sort of having a time to look and view it. So as you can see here, this sculpture is going to be about 14 feet tall. Right there where the arch is, it would be 10 feet from the ground. It's inspired by Spanish-style architecture, so if you can see there, the shingles that are designed on the arches there is what's derivative of that, as well as the arches. Another unique thing about this artwork is that it will have LED lights that will reflect from the ground, and there will be solar power, which will also run through the sculpture itself, and the solar panel will sit at the top, so it won't even be visible to anyone who would be passing by, but the lights will create a very nice dramatic effect to this artwork. And he also mentioned that he has a great light person, so this artwork will also have lights that will be colorful, and they'll also have dancing elements to them as well. So this artwork itself is going to be $80,000, and he plans to install this artwork there right in front of the main entrance of the sports complex. So as you can see there, it'll have a great, unique opportunity for interaction, I believe. When he mentioned this, it made me think about when I was in Little League, we played football. At the end of every game, if we won, all the parents would sort of create this arc where all of the children would come and run underneath it. And that's sort of what this reminded me of when he was talking about the interaction. I think it also serves as a great photo op. Even in one of his proposal images, he showed a picture of someone with a hammock tied around it. So that goes to show how structurally sound this artwork is. It's going to be made from metal, so it's going to withstand the test of time and all the elements that Oklahoma brings to it as well. That's the last slide. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions from the commission.
How will it be anchored under the ground?
It will be anchored onto a concrete base. So each of them will have their own individual concrete bases that will go underneath the ground.
Any other comments or questions?
I really like this piece.
Yeah, great.
There's so many different kind of when I first saw the name Halfway Home, I almost thought that park is always an indicator of coming home from the airport or going to the airport. It's like, I'm almost there, I'm almost back to my own space. And so there's just so many different interpretations of it, and that's what I really love about it.
I see a future Arts Commission photo op.
That sounds good.
That's a great point.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion, motion and a second to send this recommendation to the City Council. And that passed. Thank you, Leandre.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go back to Randy again with a sculpture called Celebration of Harding by G. Patrick Riley.
So this particular work, Celebration of Harding, Harding Fine Arts Academy is undergoing a major capital campaign and really refurbishing the building and grounds there at 3333 North Chartel Avenue. Harding is really famous, one of the very famous old high schools in Oklahoma City. We're lucky that the building was saved and that there is still being used with a charter school. Now, Patrick Riley, there's a map showing the location in the Central Park neighborhood and an aerial view that shows where the sculpture will be placed on the east side of the building, at the front of the building. And a site rendering. And then images of the maquette. Patrick Riley is extremely well known for for a variety of artwork. I think particularly well known for the mask that he has been making for the last several decades, and this is continuing in that vein. Patrick also was well known as an outstanding educator. When I was in high school, Patrick was the teacher at John Marshall. And John Marshall, I went to Edmond, John Marshall course in Oklahoma City. Patrick ran a university-level art program at John Marshall High School at that time. And I was astounded as a 17, 18-year-old looking at the work that came out that he got those artists to create. And he's in touch, of course, with many of them still to this day, and they really look up to Pat. So we're happy to have him. As he just told me, I don't think I'm letting out any secrets. He said, well, I'm 82 years old and still very, very busy, and there he is. So glad to see Patrick still involved with the educational system and continuing to add to his wonderful body of work. Any questions or comments?
In case you're wondering, the mascot at Harding Fine Arts is the Firehawk. That's their athletic team. So that's some of that imagery there of a Firehawk.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper.
Is there any other comments or questions? Mr. Riley, did you want to address us and tell us anything? Yeah, come join us.
I'm a young 82 years old, and I still make art, and having a show at JRB Gallery in May. I do want to say, I was telling Randy when I arrived, 10 or 12 years ago, I was at the first presentation when we started talking about public art in Oklahoma City. And I reviewed all the things you guys have done over the past 10 or 12 years while I was playing with this presentation. I want to thank you because you have some really wonderful art in Oklahoma City now. It's an amazing thing to see that happen. And I do want to say that I was the resident artist at Harding and still am. And the wings that I'm going to put on the sculpture are going to be a set of wings that I've selected from one of the students that they designed. So it'll be, partially the sculpture will be a student project where the student will have the wings set, because it's very similar to what I've designed here. And so I think that's going to be exciting. Also, the little pieces of cardboard you see on it, I'm going to cast those in bronze, and they're going to be relief sculptures of each decade of Harding's existence. So we'll have those on the front of the base of the sculpture, which would be fun to have student work that'll last another 50 to 100 years. So I'm really excited about that. And thank you guys so much for doing what you do. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's great. Okay, we will entertain a motion in a second to recommend this project to Development Services for a building permit. And that passed. Okay. We don't have a consent document today, is that correct, Randy? Do we have any discussion or action on any reports from committees? No? Okay. Arts and Cultural Affairs update. We do not have one of those today because Deborah was unable to join us for this meeting. Are there any comments from the commission members that you wish to talk about or report? No? Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me, I'll just want to announce, the Philharmonic has a concert, pop concert this weekend, and it's Les Mariachis Compañeros.
Yeah, it
Is
looks
that
like-
close?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, so if you don't have a ticket, I'm going to guess, I don't know for certain, that there might be some seats available. I'll be there tonight.
Awesome. Thank you for enlightening us, Terry. Anything else? Okay, is there any more public comment? Seeing no one jumping out of their seat, I'm going to remind you that our next meeting is February 19th here, and I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody.